Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hole in One Show podcast. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. It's been a while. We took 3 weeks off. Boy, I tell you what, oh, man. September was a month. We took 3 weeks off because, well, too busy. Had a couple jobs and threw in a TV show on the side. We filmed season 5 of the Hole in One Show on September 17th. It was fantastic. We had the 7th hole at the Fargo Country Club, and we had a beautiful day. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, we film all 9 episodes in one day. And 3 of the first 4 years, it was blowing 35 miles an hour. So we finally got the day we've hoped for. It was 65 degrees, no wind, and we had great contestants on the show. Maybe one of them hit it in the hole. You're going to have to check next spring, all April and May. 10:35 on KVOY right after the Sunday night after the news. And we had a great time. We raised a lot of money for charity. We've raised over $75,000 now in the first 5 years. Big thanks to all of our sponsors and all the viewers out there for keeping the show on TV, and for KVOY for partnering with the show. They do a fantastic job. The guys on the production crew, I know they look forward to the day. And we're always tired by the end of the night. 9 episodes in one day is quite the gauntlet. But like I said, we had great contestants, great weather, and it was a wonderful season 5 of the show. It's been busy at work at the Fargo Country Club. So we said, you know what? We're going to take a little break and come back in October, back and better than ever. And we're going to get here in this first segment here. We're going to talk to Casey Krumwiede and bring back Gridiron Golf. We have to revisit the scoreboard because we did our first picks a month ago. This was week 2. We had our first picks, and now it's week, I think, 6 already. In the second segment, we've had a couple of state championships in the meantime since we've been on the pod. We've had the State Class B State Girls Golf Tournament where Avery Bartels was the victor again 4 years in a row. And Oak Grove team won for the second straight year, and it was a really exciting finish. And we just had a finish up at the State Class A golf tournament at Grand Forks Country Club, and Anna Huddle won the individual title by 9 shots. Birdied her last 2 holes to put Mandan into the champion circle. So we're going to talk about that in the second segment with Chris Geiss, and then one final segment here in our third segment. A gentleman we lost, Kyle Newman, wonderful man, and gone way, way too soon. Huge family, and I just want to share my condolences with the family and share a special story that I have with Kyle and the guy who, for me, gave me my first chance at a real job, as you'll say, after playing professional golf. And unfortunately, we're laying him to rest here this week, and I just want to touch on the relationship with Kyle. Switching gears back to, we also have a Ryder Cup to rehash. I was sad that we didn't get a chance to be on the podcast with the lead up to the Ryder Cup. Just like I said, just couldn't make it happen. But here we are. We have a recap of the Ryder Cup, and we're going to bring in our co-host for the Gridiron Golf a little early. We're all golf fans here, and I'd like to welcome back in Casey Krumwiede. Casey, welcome to the Hole in One Show podcast.
Thank you, David. Glad to be here.
You got it. So, Ryder Cup, it was quite entertaining. There was some controversy. Obviously, it was overseas. Now, what of the Ryder Cup did you catch? What was the biggest thing that stood out to you?
Well, okay. Your golf prowess is going to you've forgotten more about golf than I'll ever know. But what stood out to me was the hole that the USA put themselves in kind of out of the gates.
Yeah.
Not necessarily seeing or understanding how they got there. You could maybe enlighten me on that. Obviously, the controversy, I think it started Saturday.
It did.
Right? With
Saturday night.
With the flare-up between maybe Rory and Cantlay's caddy. How we got to that flare-up, I don't fully understand either.
It's all about a hat.
Yeah.
It's all about a hat.
So then for the entertainment value, to see it on Sunday as a basic golf fan was awesome. Was awesome. Like, and obviously
USA had a chance.
They had a chance, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting with my brother-in-law Adam White. You know Adam. He's an astute guy when it comes to golf. So he's explaining it to me. He's explaining the pairings, what's happening, how the points are kind of racking up. And I get the basics, sure, but at one point we were maybe trending. So red and blue was how they designated
Yep.
on the scoreboard, right?
Yep.
So we are, I can't remember the overall score, 14-9, maybe at the time, maybe it was 14.5 because of the push by that Scheffler.
Oh, yeah, that was
18th,
big.
Right?
That was big, yep.
So, but then all of a sudden you see red and you're seeing what happens down here at the 5th match with like Fowler and
If it could get to the last two matches.
if it could get and make it interesting, Fowler and Fleetwood.
Yep.
And then I can't remember the other, but yeah, it was entertainment, and maybe you can.
The last one was McIntyre and Wyndham Clark. They were the last match, and I knew Wyndham was not going to go away. Like, he's a fighter, and he was down 3 early, and he got it all the way back to even. But let's go back to the controversy. So the story that has been proven not to be factual is that Patrick Cantlay was upset that they're not getting paid to play in the Ryder Cup. Okay. And that he wasn't going to wear the Ryder Cup hat. He was going to go hatless because he was, protesting that they're not getting paid. All these guys are getting paid plenty. There wasn't a lot of stock in this story, but the fans, you're on the road, right? Yeah. These fans are super passionate. So are the American fans when they're over here. They latched onto it, right? And they started doing tip of the cap. And so then it turned in the second day, every single time one of the Americans did something good, they'd take their cap off and wave their cap, right? And so it got to this thing on the 18th hole, and it came down, USA was down 10.5 to 5.5, and they desperately needed to win the 18th hole in the last match on Saturday to be at least within, shouting distance of having a chance to win. And Cantlay makes this long putt, and Joe LaCava gets, he starts doing this hat thing, and he did it for an extra 30 seconds. Like, he lingered, and he walked right to where Rory had to walk in front of, to get to his ball to hit his putt. And Rory just stopped, looked at him, and, had an exchange. And then LaCava comes off and starts shouting at Shane Lowry, and it just got a little interesting. LaCava's from New York, and, you got to think as a caddy, you have influence on the result based on how your player does and the information you give your player, and, have being a team like you always are in normal competition and working with the other player and the other team. But as a caddy, sometimes, you're in the moment and you don't have as much control as your player does. And in that moment, I think he got outside of his range, if you will, a little bit, and he stepped into the fray. He stepped into the conversation. That's kind of the golden rule for caddies: is you don't want to become the story. It's like a news anchor. You don't want to become the story. And he probably stepped over his bounds a little bit, and so he was getting in the way essentially of the other team hitting the putt. And so what do you think if you're a caddy in that moment? That's the question. If you're a caddy in that moment, you've been working your tail off for 2 days, you're in the moment of the competition, and you're upset. Like, you're upset at the visiting fans. They're on you all the time, and your guy is the one not wearing a hat. And it's a fake story. It's not true. And I think he stepped out of bounds, but he's passionate and he was all in. He's a New Yorker. He was passionate. He was all in. Does that for you as a golf fan on the side, does that for you solidify or make his actions worth it?
Oh, okay. Short of not knowing what I'm talking about.
These guys wanted to go after it. These guys were in the parking lot, wanted to trade blows.
And correct me if I'm wrong. That's what makes the gamesmanship and the energy, there's a different level of passion and different level of crowd interaction, good and bad, in the Ryder Cup, right?
Absolutely.
And it certainly depends on it. It creates a home field advantage per se, depending on where you're at. And I think objectively, as a golf fan watching that from the outside looking in, that's what makes it really fun for me.
Sure.
It's like, okay, I can't wait till we get back to U.S. turf for this next.
Right.
And Patrick Reed, take it for what he is, a couple years ago, but he kind of took on the role of the
bad guy. The bad
Captain
guy.
America. Vilify him, right? Yeah. But he was Captain America,
Right.
And that made it fun, right?
It did.
So I don't know the nuances enough or the ins and outs enough probably on where you cross the line etiquette-wise on the caddy front. But from a gamesmanship, from a
bringing new fans into the game.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
And then to see the to see the aftermath when they're all loading up in the drop zone in the cars. I thought that was fun.
So there's two different things here.
Okay.
One is golf, day in, day out golf etiquette.
Yeah.
And the other one is, sorry, diehard golf fans, but the Ryder Cup, it just is what it is. It is the 1 week every 2 years. President's Cup's pretty good, but it's the 1 week every 2 years that you really can bring some new people into the game of golf and have interest into the game of golf. There's a lot of people who don't watch golf, and then they're learning these guys, even though we all know them really well, they're learning these guys this one time because they're going to tune into something that's USA versus anybody, right? Mm-hmm. That was interesting. That created a storyline.
It created a buzz.
And throughout the entire next day, every single interview had to do with what happened the night before.
Right.
And all the guys were kind of getting, we're over it. No. If you're doing an interview, you're going back to that.
Totally.
You want to keep touching on that because you have viewers out there who are watching because it's final day, but they want that interviewer to ask that question.
Well, and to dovetail into that, seeing the players for the United States in particular, seeing their energy in what they were doing. Justin Thomas, for example, fake tipping a hat that he wasn't wearing. So clearly it still meant something to play. Clearly there was still a little bit of bad blood, animosity, whatever you want to call it. But I think that gave players an edge on both sides, and it makes it fun.
And there's a couple of things we can touch on. I mean, Justin Thomas pick, we talked about this on the pod before. Was it the right pick? I think it proved not to be as far as performance goes. He won a singles match, but he didn't play very well and didn't get any W's. And actually, Jordan Spieth didn't play great either. And it felt like the pairing was forced. I mean, I know those guys are tight, and they've played in the Ryder Cup for many, many years, but they sat Ricky the second day. The guy, he was the only guy that didn't play the second day. The one thing I do want to touch on, though, real quick, I have a Ricky Fowler story. When I was playing full-time professionally in 2009, I was paired with Ricky in in his second ever professional event. And it ended up being the first event that he made a check in. He started his professional career in Boise, and then we got paired together in Southern California at Saboba Springs. Now, this was Puma's big layout for Ricky Fowler. They had the big tour Puma truck, and they had a bunch of orange T-shirts that all the fans were wearing, and there were a lot of fans there that weren't familiar with golf, but he was from California, and so we were paired together the first two rounds. And I just met him, and we were going down the first hole. He hits a shot to like 15 feet. I hit a shot to 20 feet. I hit my putt up there to about 2 feet, and I mark it. There's a bunch of people around the green, and, there's nobody else on the golf course. There's no other fans. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere, but Ricky Fowler's there. So we have like 150 people following us. So we felt like we were with Tiger Woods. Yeah. We were playing with Adam Bland, a guy from overseas as well. Actually, a guy from Australia. Anyway, I got a 20-footer hit up there to 2 feet, kind of a side hill, kind of a nervy one with a bunch of people around the green. I mark it. He hits his 15-foot putt up there to literally this. Like, it was a one leg just tap in. And Ricky marks it. He marks it. And I kind of look at him like, why aren't you tapping in? I'm like, all right. So I go up there, and I knock my 2.5-footer in. And he walks up there, literally one legs it, knocks it in the hole, and we're walking to the second tee. And I go, Ricky, can I ask you, why'd you just mark that like literally 5-inch putt? And he goes, well, Dave, a lot of these people around the green are new to golf, and they're here watching me. They've got all these silly T-shirts on, and I figured if I tapped in, they'd probably start walking to the second hole, and you had that 2-footer, And so this guy in his second ever professional event, and he's looking out for his playing partner. He's marking a ball 5 inches from the hole, letting me putt out with everybody quiet and not walking away from the hole. And I thought about that. When he's the nicest guy in the world, and I've always rooted for Ricky ever since. He's really good player. Obviously, he's gone through his ups and downs. It's great to see him playing great again, back on the Ryder Cup team. But I thought about that and I don't think it's because he's a nice guy or anything, but it's like, Ricky, why are you giving Tommy Fleetwood that 2.5-footer, 2-foot, 8-inch putt to win the Ryder Cup? At least make the guy earn it. I was thinking, wait a minute, no. Tap in that 5-inch putt. I'll have to deal with the other people around the green. I'll figure it out. Like, in that moment, I'm thinking, well, maybe he's too nice,
Well, okay, so I mean, that's a really cool story. That's a cool connection for you because it almost creates kind of a vested interest in.
Sure.
I mean, you have a direct connection. Mm-hmm. You played with a guy who's playing for the U.S. in the Ryder Cup. That's awesome. But I was going to ask you about that if you didn't bring it up. What maybe etiquette suggests in that scenario versus, to me, that's your last straw. That's the only option you have, right?
Because it's almost etiquette to make him putt it. Watch a ball go in the hole for Europe to win the Ryder Cup.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, grabbing the ball with your hand to win the Ryder Cup. I'd rather see a guy make a putt. That's the highlight instead of a concession. I would think you'd want to let the guy, even if it's just like getting out of the way and letting the guy have his moment, make him putt it for that piece. Hey, if he misses it, then we still have we still have a heartbeat.
Totally.
I just think it was like, people were like, what are you doing?
Okay, good. Because I found that to be confusing when literally it's your last hope, right?
Sure.
The one thing, because I think it came down to a half point, right? Or whatever. No matter what.
Well, they needed everything. They
needed everything.
Yeah.
So, make them fight for everything.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
Let him finish it.
Yeah.
Let him finish it. And he needed, So, anyway. So, the Ryder Cup was really entertaining. Obviously, the wrong team won. It's going to Bethpage back 2 years from now, and Rory's already put a marker down that he said that the toughest thing to do in professional golf is to win in a away Ryder Cup. I think he even said in sports. So, but definitely in golf. So, he put the marker down that Europe is going to win in a couple of years, and it was a successful Ryder Cup, I think, for bringing people into the game. And there wasn't a whole lot of live talk. One live player was on, obviously USA, Brooks Koepka. There's definitely some talk where we could have used a couple other live players. Dustin Johnson. DJ, Dustin Johnson has a certain swag. He doesn't lose a lot in Ryder in match play, and so that would have been interesting to have him on the team instead of everybody's favorite Justin Thomas. But we move on. It's now time to talk football. We're into week 6 already. Is this week 6 of college football or week 5?
It's going to be week 6.
Week 6?
Technically week 7, I think, with week 0 games that occurred.
Yeah.
So
we're doing Gridiron Golf. We pick 3 games. We name one our birdie game, eagle game, and a double eagle game. If we get the birdie game right, we go 1 under. We get it wrong, we go 1 over. Eagle, +2, -2. Double eagle, +3, -3. After week 1, which was about a month ago, I think I'm +4. I'm +4. And Casey, how are you off to a hot start?
Well, no, it's almost like we're actually playing real golf. I'm +6 after 3 games, David.
+6 after 3. Oh gosh! So you got all 3 picks here. All 3 picks are wrong.
Yeah,
it's a tough.
So
start.
I got all 3 wrong, and I wasn't even close.
No, this is the wild. Hold on. This is the wild CRG, right? This is the wild CRG Gridiron Golf. Here's the T-shirt. Let's talk about this logo before we get into our week 2 picks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So WILD is a last name. CRG is an acronym for Construction Resource Group. Over the years, we kind of evolved into just an architecture firm into architecture and construction. So we combined. We kind of synergized the two brands into one thing.
Sure.
So a misconception was that WILD was just like the adjective or noun, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a last name. Mm-hmm. So we took it and ran with it. So we have a moniker and kind of a catchphrase, Wildly Smart Buildings. It's something we throw out in business.
Wildly Smart Buildings, yep.
And then we're like, well, what if we did something stupid with like a nature scene and a Yeti? And so we threw it on business cards at first, and we'd hand a business card to people at trade shows, etc. People would look at it as like, is that a Sasquatch? We're like, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
For no other reason other than it creates interest.
Wild,
and so they're like, God, that's funny. So our thought being, if you have half a dozen business cards of architects sitting on your desk, mm-hmm. and you see a Yeti on there, maybe it piques your interest a little bit.
Yeah,
to call
I want to hang out with these guys.
So then it grew legs, and it turned into like at our shop, we did a whole nature scene with the Sasquatch profile on trees and everything, and we got comments on that. So then we started putting it on merchandise.
Just go full go.
Just the reaction people get. We're a small business, right? But the reaction we get around here is awesome.
All right, let's make
a talking point.
That's great. All right, well, let's make some wild picks. Our week 1 was wild. +4, +6. Now we also have viewers picks, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about how the viewers did in week 1.
Well, so okay, I'm +6, which is awful. You're +4, which I don't know if you've ever been. Maybe. Viewers went +1.
So we're losing to our own viewers.
We're losing to our own viewers who we prescribe picks for. Now, we did overlap on some picks. To touch on our last we'll call it last week, our last picks. I mean, I picked Nebraska against Colorado, right? I'm going to homer Nebraska. And part of this Gridiron Golf thing is I pick Nebraska every week we do it.
Good or bad, you pick that game.
Good or bad. And I can pick Nebraska to lose, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I was going into that game thinking, okay, we turn the corner after turnovers against Minnesota. We go do the same thing in Colorado. We turn it over 4 times. So after that game, out of 22 combined possessions in the Minnesota-Colorado game, Nebraska turned it over 8 times. That's what, 36%, 37% turnover rate of all your possessions?
You can't win games.
You can't win games.
You can't win games.
So we're down 7-13 in the third, and they turn it over, and it just snowballs, right? So that game was terrible.
You were there.
I was there, and that was fun.
Talk about being there at the game. What was it like in Boulder?
Boulder was fun. I'd never been. I've been to Denver, a bunch, and certain mountain towns I've been to a bunch, but I'd never been to Pearl Street. It was a lot of fun. The game day environment. There was a lot of energy with Coach Prime, no doubt. Tailgating was actually pretty fun. I've been to a handful of tailgates, quite a few tailgates. Overall, I think the energy provided it for a good tailgate. The stadium was okay. Fans are always notorious for not necessarily liking Nebraska. I think one year their whole student section got kicked out of a Nebraska game. So they were, okay, but we had a ton of fun. And
You were saying that Nebraska fans were going to fill half the stadium. How'd they travel?
The ratio, they traveled well.
Yeah.
They traveled well. It was probably, I think someone pegged it at about 40% Nebraska.
Yeah.
So the one side we were looking at was mostly Colorado. Our side was a lot of red.
Yeah.
But
it's incredible what Prime has done for that program.
It is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, I think I said last time, great fan support.
Yeah.
It's not a great football team.
All right. So what's Nebraska this week? Let's go with your birdie pick.
Okay. So I have to decide yet if I want this in the birdie slot.
Okay.
They are playing Friday night against Illinois. So Friday night Big Ten game in Champaign. As far as I can tell, it's a 3.5 point Illinois favored spread.
Just so you know, Nebraska is getting points against Illinois.
I know.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at, dude. Okay, and let's just circle back. This is a little anecdotal side note. Did you happen to hear this? That last week, speaking of great fan support, great program, not the results we want, they still doubled down, and Memorial Stadium is the stadium that Nebraska plays in. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's already, in my opinion, and I've been to a handful, and I think this is an objective comment. It's in the pantheon, I would say, of cathedrals of college.
Absolutely.
Football.
Yes, it is.
Storied history. It's beautiful. It's huge. It's so I think it's a beautiful stadium. They expanded in 2013, 2014. They're currently finishing up $160 million football only facility expansion, and it's out of this world beautiful. They just announced $450 million renovation of Memorial Stadium to be done by 2026.
Okay.
So,
wow.
We've got the facility.
What else can we do for
you? We've got in theory, a coach, right? We've got all these things, but we just there's going to be no excuses at some point, right?
Yeah.
So
at some point, you're going to be able to win the portal.
Yeah. Prime is, right? And all of a sudden now they're relevant. But okay.
Birdie pick.
Back to our picks. Birdie pick.
Got you.
I've got a
we're plus
here.
6 right now. Birdie pick is?
Birdie pick, I'm going to take Wazoo, Washington State, over UCLA. UCLA is favored by 3.5, and UCLA is the home team.
So you're going Washington State plus 3.5?
Washington State plus 3.5, yep.
All right, that's your birdie pick. My birdie pick, I'm going to the Frogs. They're coming off an L. Lost by 3 to West Virginia. They're 3-2. They've lost to Colorado and West Virginia. Definitely won't be going to the Fiesta Bowl this year or the national championship. So just still a strong fan, and they're going to be my birdie pick this week. Iowa State, TCU is minus 6.5.
Yep.
I'm taking the Frogs. I have to. I'm taking the Frogs.
I agree. I like it.
Okay. Now my Eagle pick. We got the Red River rivalry, right? Texas OU at the Cotton Bowl.
At the Cotton Bowl.
That's a big one. I still can't stand Texas. and Oklahoma is outscoring their opponents a ton. And I really can't stand either of these teams, but I'm going to go take the points. Oklahoma plus 6.5 for my Eagle pick.
Okay. So
if I win those two, I'm back to +1.
So I'm actually gonna mirror you on that one with the same pick. I think Texas is good. They've got some subtly decent wins under their belt now, aside from obviously the Alabama game. We all thought Bama on that one. Texas rose up. They looked to be the superior team, albeit early in the year. They manhandled Kansas last week. I think I like Oklahoma's body of work just subtly better.
Okay.
With the points.
You're taking the points.
I'm taking Eagle pick, Oklahoma plus 6.5.
Okay. This is a big one. Double Eagle. What do we have? What's yours? Oh, I like mine a lot. I love mine. I love my Double Eagle pick.
Well, I might as well go plus 12.
This is the Del Frisco Double Eagle Steakhouse. Come on.
You want it first, Dave? Or
no, you go. You go.
Okay.
You're up.
Well, at some point I got to regress to the mean here with my Nebraska picks, and I'm doubling down. I'm taking them double Eagle. So I'm taking Nebraska plus 3.5 on Friday night. Mm-hmm. Nothing about Illinois suggests to me that they're 3.5 points better than Nebraska, but nothing about Nebraska to me suggests that they shouldn't have at least 3.5 points.
You just believe in their fundraising.
Yeah,
great fundraising. We're going to win a game eventually.
Or
at least not lose by 4.
We're just going to play this out over the course of the year where law of probability suggests I cover one of these.
You'd be like plus 35 at the end of the year, just picking Nebraska every week.
Oh, man.
No, all right. Well,
Nebraska,
good luck. You got double Eagle pick.
Yep.
Nebraska plus 3.5 at Illinois.
Yes, sir.
Very good. My double Eagle pick, and I think that there's going to be viewers here that are going to like this pick. At Minnesota, Michigan
I like that pick.
is giving 19. PJ, come on. I just need 2 touchdowns and a field goal worse than this team. That's right. I'm rolling the boat. I got the oar out. I need a double Eagle, and I'm going to take Minnesota plus 19 at home. I mean, good grief. I don't think Michigan's that good. Minnesota at home plus 19.
Okay, so I like the pick because it's at Minnesota.
Okay.
And because
I feel like going now. That was a double Eagle pick. I just want to go.
So here's what I'll say about Michigan after watching them just abuse Nebraska last week. Their gap soundness and fundamental like nature is crazy. So they'll run just super basic 4-man front, but they get pressure with 4. Offensively, they move people. Mm-hmm. And now they're going in against Nebraska, so I got to take that with a grain of salt. But that allows them, if you're getting pressure with 4, when you finally do get exotic and you start throwing these linebackers downhill, and Nebraska was helpless. And so I think but they're not flashy. They're not the skill positions are really good, really solid. Blake Corum, a handful of these guys are really, really good, but they're not the SEC kind of level. They're just super fundamental and good. Yeah. Yep. And all of a sudden they're just beating you, and it's 14-0. You turn the ball over and they just gouge you, and so I was impressed with Michigan. It's the best team I've seen play this year.
Really?
Again, not a huge SEC aficionado, but I have watched Bama. I've watched Georgia a couple times. Ohio State. Michigan was the best team I've seen play this year.
Okay, now
I do like your pick.
Oh, you do like my pick?
I do like your pick.
Okay. At home, 19. Get 19.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Now the viewers are kicking us in the teeth. Mm-hmm. The viewers are even through week 1. And the viewers this week.
+1.
They're +1?
They're +1.
All right, they're +1 through week 1. Now the viewers this week, their birdie pick. You pick this one. Go ahead and share it. Missouri and LSU.
Okay, so that's what we're going with. Their birdie
that's their birdie pick.
Okay, so we got LSU at Mizzou. LSU minus 6.5. And I think we're going to give the viewers Mizzou plus 6.5.
Okay, Mizzou is plus 6.5. Viewers, you have plus 6.5. If you win, you get nothing except knowing that we're picking against each other and you represent the other side and you're currently beating us. So, all right, now their Eagle pick. We have Texas minus 6.5. The viewers are on the other side of us on the Eagle pick. This is going to be a swing.
Yep.
Like we have to do something to where we can maybe make a comeback, right? So Texas is minus 6.5, and that's the viewers on that one. And the double Eagle pick, we're going back to the Frogs.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yep. The double Eagle pick is TCU minus 6.5 at Iowa State. So the viewers are on the host side and picking the Frogs minus 6.5. And that's week 2 of your Wild CRG Gridiron Golf. Are we going to get back to even par, do you think? We like it's tough. We have a tough start.
Yeah, I put myself in a hole. It's suboptimal.
Uphill climb.
We'll see. Yeah.
So what's your routine on Saturdays? I mean, college football is undefeated. We've talked about this before. It's a lot of it makes the fall. What's your routine on Saturdays?
Well,
is it totally centered around Nebraska football?
Yeah. I mean, put it this way. I know exactly what time they're going to play.
Yep.
Every Sunday after the game, right? Looking ahead 6 days. I know what time they're going to play the following Saturday. Mm-hmm. Look at what we have for kids' activities. Look at what I can do to shift around schedules and be pseudo.
How can I make it her idea?
Can I watch this
for
on
me
the
to
phone
be sitting in the
if we are
garage
at a wedding? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm cognizant of weekly what time they play, and if I can, I plan around it.
Good. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how we do this week too, huh? We're gonna be back next week.
Yep.
And we're going to run the gamut. We're going to run the rest of the season, and we'll see how we do week 2. We'll add up our score. The viewers are beating us at the moment, but we'll see how we do week 2. Casey, thanks for joining the Hole in One show, bud.
Thanks a lot, man.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, folks, right after this, Chris Geiss, Dakota Junior Golf Association. We're going to talk the Class B and the Class A state girls golf tournaments right after this.
Any bank can tell you they have a rock-solid commitment to agriculture. Bell can prove it. To this day, every Bell Bank branch is partially built with rocks we've picked from our founder's farm. But our roots in ag have grown more than a few offices. They've shaped who we are and formed our entire approach to banking. Let us prove it to you as you grow your farm and prepare your legacy for the next generation. Bell Bank, committed to ag.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hole in One Show podcast. It is championship season in girls high school golf, and I don't know if I could bring on any better representation of junior golf and understanding what this is all about than Chris Geiss, Executive Director of the Dakota Junior Golf Association. Chris, good to talk to you. It was great to see you last week at Maple River. Your team came in and ran the state Class B, and I tell you, we've had awesome state Class B and Class A finishes here in the last couple of weeks. I mean, right down to the wire. Let's first talk about the state B. Oak Grove won, and talk about running that tournament and just the excitement coming down the stretch.
David, good to hear from you. Good to see you last week as well, driving around on your little hot cycle or whatever the thing was you were chasing around.
Fin cycle.
Loved every second of it. Yeah, our team's been involved. Dakota Junior Golf NDGA team's been involved now with the last few state Class B. Started last year in Minot with the girls, ran last year's boys in Wahpeton, and we love every second of it. We love being a part of it. We come in, we take over. You know, we get involved with setting up the whole course from tees and pin placements, and you know, they just make a big deal of it. You know, we've always talked. It's not just golf. Let's make a bigger deal of it. We started that when we did some stuff with you at Maple River, but last week was amazing. I mean, to watch, that golf course played hard. It played long. You know how long, obviously, you were at Maple River. You know how long that course can be. And the thing about Maple River is the water never goes away, right? It's beside you at all times.
Yeah.
It always is something. And the way those girls, those top couple teams, and, you know, no secrets here. We kind of knew which 3 to pick as we ranked them. We knew it was going to be Oak Grove and Kindred and Hart River making their run down the stretch. And, you know, it was kind of funny on final morning. We're like, well, Avery's running away with this individual, and my staff that's working the course, and we're like, oh my gosh, Oak Grove is up by 22 strokes right now. This might be a blowout on the team side. Mm-hmm. Well, nobody, you know, until we really dug into the scoreboard, what we didn't realize was, you know, Kindred had already been on the course for like 11 holes.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, it's 22 shots. Now it's 16 shots. when I run into you back by 14, it's 10, and at that moment, Avery makes eagle on 14, and a couple bogeys pop in there, and now it's 6. By the time you and I ride out 17 and 18, it's probably the best Class B girl we've ever had, most dominant player. I mean, you win 42 out of 49 events in your high school career. That's pretty good.
Right.
You know, we got her on the tee for Kindred, and we've got 8th grader Sylvie Brantner on the tee for Oak Grove. We got both their dads as the head coaches, and they're tied.
It's incredible.
And it's like, okay, so what's going to give? What's going to give here, right? And you and I watched Brantner. I mean, we talk about what she did on 18, but on 17, she was right of the trees. Her and her assistant coach had a long talk. You know, where should we take it? Should we go right of the green?
Chris Halstead,
her on. And I heard her say, "I just want to punch it to the front of the green and get up and down." And boy, did she! I mean, she hit a punch shot about 60 yards, front of the green. She makes her par. Bartels is right behind. She stripes a drive. She's got a wedge from 50 or 60 yards. Hits that wedge in there. Just misses an 8-footer for birdie. So now they're tied at 18.
Yep.
Brantner smokes a drive. Probably a little amped up coming into 18, and she hits it over the top of the green on 18, back left corner. And I'm standing with the guys from North Dakota High School Activities, and we're like, man, she's in trouble here. So this is going to be impossible to this back pin. 5 feet, roll it in, par. And she knew she had to. And, you know, being the champion that Avery is, she smokes her drive down the middle. And she hit a great approach, and it just had too much spin on it. And it landed at about 6 feet and pulled back to about 20, and she made a heck of a putt and just missed it. You know, tap in for par. They end up tied. Brantner wins another state championship for the team. Avery wins her 4th straight individual. Brantner, I mean, Lane, I told Lane on the phone afterwards, I said, "You're one of the luckiest dads and coaches I know. Last year, your oldest daughter makes a 10-footer to win the state by 1.
Yeah.
And this year, your youngest makes a 10-footer or 5-footer to win you another state championship." But, I mean, on the Class B side, I mean, golf across North Dakota, I mean, you look at the top 5 positions in that field were all seniors, but the next 20 are just loaded with 8th grade on up. It is, I mean, we're in such a good spot on the Class B side, and I'll let you lead me into the Class A.
Yeah, no, it was entertaining. I mean, I think Oak Grove had a 2-shot lead, but they had 3 players left on the golf course, and you know they were plus 95 for the tournament, and Kindred was plus 97, and there was 3 more players on the golf course. Like I said, and 18's a tough par 4, and they have like lumber into 18. You know, there's 2 Oak Grove team members, Josie. And gosh darn it, Ellie Zuger and Josie Brantner both were in the fairway with like 3 woods in. They hit it up near the green, and they both hit it on in 2-putt to make bogey. So they're both teams are at plus 97. You have an 8th grader for Oak Grove and the best player in the state right behind her coming down the stretch. Sylvie, the 8th grader, she hits it just left of the green, and she gets up and down, makes this 5-foot putt. Her dad's on the side. He lets her know, you know, what she needs to do on the tee. It was an incredible finish. Now, before that, Lauren Halstead was the 5th player that day on the second round, and she came off the 18th green a little dejected on how she plays. She shot a 95. However, we started looking through the scores. I'm like, wait, now you're 5th. You're 5th on your team today. You'd be the tiebreaker. What's Kindred? Well, their tiebreaker would be 100. So, okay, if this thing ties, you know, in 30 minutes, if this thing ends up tying, you're going to be the tiebreaker. And I'll be dang. 30 minutes later, Lauren Halstead's 95 is the difference maker because both teams tied, and they go to the 5th score on the final day, and they're back-to-back state champs. It was incredible. It was so much fun. Obviously, a lot of emotion, it was all positive, right? So Avery Bartels is going to be going to NDSU, and she's won 4 straight. She won the tournament by 16, right? 16 shots. Yeah.
5 under, which is, did a little research. That's the lowest score we can ever find in Class B girls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the record from what we can find, and we did a lot of research. And, you know, one name I don't want to miss on what we're talking about here, though, another 8th grader that we're going to be watching is she parred the last 5 coming in for Kindred and ended up being an all-stater because of it was Bailey Thunick.
Oh, cool.
I mean, she was right ahead of Zuger in that group, and we kept thinking, well, the 8th grader, you know, what could happen here? And boy, par. And it was just fantastic stuff there. So, I mean, that was, so, I mean, just so much good stuff on the Class B side, you know. I mean, to send a senior off like that with Avery Bartels, I don't think any of us will disagree that her career has been unbelievable.
Yeah, it sure has, and a better kid than she is a golfer for sure. So let's talk about we filmed this on Tuesday, and we just finished. It's going to air on Friday, but we just finished the state Class A girls up in Grand Forks Country Club, and what a finish and a huddle with birdies the last 2 holes to put Mandan in the state championship. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. In fact, I've been up and helping running University of Mary's College Invitational the last 2 days. So I've been out there with all these college coaches, and they're asking me all these recruiting questions, and this girl and that girl, and so we've all been in the scoreboard watching the whole time. And I kind of thought Red River on their home course is going to put it away early today, and they were up 7 or 8, and I'm like, oh, this is that's what we expected. Huddle holds on to win the individual, and all of a sudden Isabella Hale, an 8th grader for Mandan, she goes on a little run today and gets it, finishes top 10. But down the stretch, it's tied with 2 to go. And Huddle goes birdie on par 4 17 and birdie on par 5 18.
Yep.
And they win by 1 shot.
Well, look at this.
Again, Huddle,
look at this. And look at her back 9. 33.
Yeah.
3 birdies, 6 pars on her back 9, and she won by 9. She won the individual tournament by 9. So this whole back 9 is all for her team. It's all for her team, and she closes with a back 9 33 to put it away.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't say enough about Anna. I see her a lot here at Prairie West on the range or at Riverwood, and she works with some of the local teachers and stuff like that. And again, she's going to be a Bison too. And I mean, that kid is a grinder. I mean, she puts in the time, and she was a multi-sport athlete, didn't really grab golf until late. I mean, maybe like 8th grade, 9th grade, she really got into it. And now she used to be a great athlete who hit golf balls, and she's really turned into a golfer this year. And
sure,
boy, it really showed with what we got. Overall, like we said, 42 girls earned invitations to Fargo Country Club for the Russ Newman next June. You and I love that more than anything, putting that on. And the state of golf right now, shout out to all the golf coaches, shout out to all the teaching pros for what you've done to put North Dakota's golf, and I watch these names that are at the top of the boards, both Class A and B, and I go back and look at our leaderboards from our sporty events in the summer.
Yeah.
It's the kids who are out there banging it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're playing all summer long, and you're giving them the opportunity. That's great. A couple quick shout-outs for Rose Solberg. She won the state tournament as a freshman last year. Good defense. Didn't win, but good defense. She finished 4th. And then a great high school career coming to an end. Lexi Bartley finished in style with a 35, closing birdie 2 of the last 3 holes. She ended up finishing tied for 2nd. And she won her sophomore year as an individual. So congratulations to those 2 gals. And you're right. I have 3 girls, right? I have 3 girls, and I'd love for them to get into golf. And the state of girls golf in the state of North Dakota is pretty cool.
Yeah, just one last thing when you just mentioned those careers you just did with Huddle and with Bartley. I know Dakota Junior, we're in charge of the Miss Golf Award. I'm just glad I don't have a vote, because
it's be tough.
If I got to vote between Avery Bartels, Anna Huddle, and Lexi Bartley, that's 3 pretty good careers and 6 state championships between them.
That is very true.
We're in a good spot.
Absolutely.
Good spot.
Chris, thanks for all your work. Thanks for getting on here on short notice with the Class B last week and the Class A, both coming down to the last hole. Great finishes. And we'll talk to you down the road, okay, bud?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. We'll see you soon.
You got it. All right, folks, stay with us. After the break, I want to touch on a friend of mine, a friend of many, and a gentleman who's gone too soon. Special connection that we have. It goes back a long time, and I'd just like to touch on the passing of Kyle Newman and our friendship right after the break.
Golf to me is patience.
It's weird to say, but golf is life.
It is. It's the ultimate game of life.
It's an individual sport.
You have to put in a lot of work to get minimally better. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You come back to improve.
That's why I love golf, is just every shot is different.
That next round, that next shot, it could be that start of a story.
I don't even want to say a game. It's more than a game.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hole in One Show podcast. Thanks for being with us. I want to touch on here in this last segment of this podcast. Lost a dear friend of mine, a guy who meant a lot to me. And, life's interesting. You look back on people who have had an influence on your life, and as time goes by, you think about how big of an impact it was. We lost Kyle Newman here this past week at 45 years old, which is just an incredible, just a tragedy. And, 8 children, been a leader in business in the area for many years, was given a great opportunity early and used it and expanded it and gave other people opportunities. Kyle Newman was a wonderful father, obviously very, very close to his kids and involved in youth sports. He was actually the guy who spearheaded the, starting to raise money for the baseball team that got to the Little League World Series here this past summer. He was working for Newman Signs in Jamestown. And my relationship with Kyle goes way back. We're both graduates of Fargo South. He was a big golfer. Our families go way back, tied to golf. And he was a little bit older than I was. And when I went and played professional golf for a number of years, there was a time when I turned 30 that I knew it was over, and at least the first time. And I came back to town after losing my card and not getting through Q school. And I called up Russ Newman. And it was, I didn't know who else to call. I was a golfer. I was 30 years old. No real skill set other than playing golf and I guess being able to talk to people. And I called Russ and I said, Russ, I've met a girl. I want to settle down. I'm kind of done traveling around. I'm not playing well enough. And what do you think I should do? And Russ said, well, my son Kyle is building a hotel in West Fargo. I said, oh, okay. And he took me through the whole thing. He says, you go have coffee with Kyle Newman. If anybody knows Kyle, he's a big coffee drinker. And I think we had 8 or 9 meetings at Starbucks in Fargo on 13th Avenue. And lo and behold, Kyle took a chance on me, and he gave me my first job out of playing professional golf. He hired me to be the general manager at the Element by Westin Hotel in West Fargo. Now, this was an interesting position given the fact that they were still framing the building. In fact, my first day on the job, it was Kyle and I with a couple of shovels in mid-December shoveling snow off the second floor. So it morphed into a development of this hotel. And truth be told, I had no idea what I was doing, but I had Kyle Newman to lean on. And I think the biggest thing is it was a guy who gave me a shot. And gave me a shot and defended his decision to give me a shot. We weren't building a Motel 6. We were building an Element by Westin, Starwood Hotel and Resorts. And I can't tell you how many phone calls, how many conference calls Kyle was on with Starwood, and Starwood was like, what the hell are you thinking? This guy doesn't even have a resume. You hired a golfer to be your general manager. And Kyle, time in, time out, would always defend me, have my back, and he supported his own decision of giving me a chance. Fast forward, we lost his dad a couple of years ago, and Russ, as we've mentioned in other podcasts, was a father figure to a lot of us on the golf side, and we've started the Russ Newman Memorial Youth Invitational and the Junior Newman as well, and we've worked closely with Boomer and the entire family to get this tournament off the ground, and Kyle was obviously an instrumental part of that. And like I said, Kyle was the one that spearheaded getting money raised for the Little League baseball team here this past summer using those funds from the Russ Newman Memorial Youth Fund. And it's just kind of surreal, lose his dad a couple of years ago, then he's gone here at 45. And I'm 40. Things get a little different when you get older, My wife asked me the other day, when was your last physical? How you feeling? It's just gets you thinking differently and really what's important and puts things in perspective. I've got 3 little girls, and I guarantee you that I'm hugging them tighter tonight and last night, the night before. My heart goes out to the whole family. I mean, obviously 8 kids. His wife Tara and the entire Newman family has had to endure a lot the last couple of years. And I just wanted to spend a little time here on the podcast to just say thank you to Kyle Newman and for the opportunity he gave me and the influence he had on my life. And I'm going to miss him very much. So, folks, we'll be with you next week, and appreciate you joining the Hole in One Show podcast.